Hello, and welcome back to the Padawan podcast, Apocaflix Movies All Star Wars podcast, where we geek out on everything from the galaxy far, far away. I'm your host, Jake Berlin, aka Qui-Gon Jake, and I am joined today by my fellow Rebel scum, Jacob Bartley and Gio Ramos. How's it going?
It's going very well. Nothing new in Star Wars this week.
Yeah, nothing at all, nothing.
Well, we'll get into that. So we got a little bit of Kylo Ren stuff to talk about, a little Obi-Wan news, which I'm sure we're going to get into. But of course, we're going to start with the big one. Yesterday, kind of out of nowhere, let's say from Wednesday, out of nowhere, Disney announced the release of the Rogue One trailer. And we got it yesterday morning. It was all over the internet. So we're going to do a little bit of breakdown here, give our quick initial thoughts, kind of conversate about it back and forth, what we liked, what we didn't like, and if there's anything else we're excited about after watching the first footage. So Jacob, I'm going to shoot it to you first, man. Quick initial thoughts about the trailer, a couple sentences, and just, what did you think of it after watching it?
All right, so I'm, trying to not geek out so much on things just because it's what I love. So I'm trying to be,
This is a Star Wars show.
I know. That's why I'm prefacing my comments with this. It's like I'm trying to, calm down a little bit. I don't have to love everything that surrounds Star Wars or Marvel or DC, but they freaking killed it with this trailer, man. Back when they announced the movie, when did they announce it, at Comic-Con or Star Wars Celebration or?
Before that, I think, because at Celebration they showed concept, right?
Or
Yeah, Celebration, they showed the actual footage they created.
It was one of those things like a year and a half ago.
It was back in 2014, I think it was.
Yeah, they said it's going to be a war movie. It's a war film, and that's exactly what it feels like, is a war film. I was telling everyone I told to go watch it, I told them this is weird to say, but in a way it doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie, like your typical Star Wars movie. You have the stormtroopers, the AT-ATs. It's a Star Wars movie, but the tone and everything doesn't feel like anything we've ever seen before in the Star Wars universe, and that is the best thing I took away from this trailer. There's a whole bunch to talk about that I love, but overall, just the feel of it and the tone, it feels real. It feels like a war film, and it's amazing.
What'd you think, Gio?
So it feels Star Wars, but like Jacob said, it feels different than anything we've ever seen in the saga. As far as teaser trailers go, it does a good job at hinting at these soldiers who we've always looked at as just background soldiers, but these soldiers actually having stories, we've seen soldiers in Hoth fight behind Luke. We've seen him in Endor fight behind Han Solo. We see them, but we don't really think anything of them. But with Rogue One, they're kind of, going to go into these characters. These are actual real people, and we're going to figure out, what they're fighting for, what the cost of war does to them. And, it's going to be a very grounded take, like Jacob said. So, it's very exciting. I really like it.
Yeah, I'm going to echo everything you guys said. I watched it when it was first released. I watched it a few times, but I didn't realize how much I loved it until my buddy called me and we started talking about it. And that's why I realized how much I actually loved the trailer, because we started talking about, all the things going on and the tone. And
so you didn't love it the first
I liked
times?
it. Like I enjoyed it. I loved that it was different, that it was something, I wasn't expecting to get this kind of a trailer for the first teaser. It was a full trailer.
Pretty much, yeah.
And but once I started to really talk about it with someone, I started to love it more and more. And I enjoy it every time I watch it now. I just watched it about 5 minutes ago. But, everything you guys said was on point. It's something that we definitely haven't seen in Star Wars, but a story that needs to be told, and something we've kind of been waiting for, because Episode 4, it's the first thing we ever heard of in Star Wars, is the Death Star plans. And now we're getting that backstory of it. So it's definitely very, very exciting. Okay, so let's just kind of get into it a little bit more. Get a little back and forth going, what we liked, what we didn't like, the tone, the look. For me, there are two things that I really, really loved. One, the music is incredible.
It's amazing. It's the first thing you hear.
It's incredible. The entire trailer, and then when you hear the Death Star, the tone from the Death Star come in there about halfway through, and then obviously the look of the movie, it just looks grounded and gritty and dark and so different from The Force Awakens, and it very much still has a very classic Star Wars feel to it, it looks like original trilogy Star Wars. From the sets to the uniforms. Like when you see those Rebel uniforms, you just geek out. Like it's hard not to geek out.
They got the time period right as far as we can tell.
Exactly. So those are two things that I really, really love about it. Obviously, Felicity Jones, Forrest Whitaker, those are definitely some good ones. I love the dialogue that Forrest Whitaker was saying.
Oh, man.
To finish it off. And there's so many good things in it, but those are definitely some of the things I love the most. So, Jacob, what about you, man? What stuck out?
Like I said, the feel and the tone of it. They brought in the Imperial March like halfway through, and then at the end you hear them both going on together, and it's like it sounds so beautiful. The music is great. So back when was it 3 or 4 or 5 months ago, we did our top actresses working today, right? And my number one was Felicity Jones, and most of that was because I really do feel that way. I went on Netflix and watched a lot of her films. I loved her in The Theory of Everything. I think she's an Oscar-nominated actress leading a Star Wars film. That's fantastic. But part of it is because I know she's going to blow up soon. So I wanted to let people know that I've had my eye on this girl for a while. She's going to be a freaking superstar. She's great. She might die in this film. Her character might die in this film because we don't hear anything about these characters further on in the Star Wars universe, and we don't have to. Maybe they go on their own missions afterwards, similar to the Rebels team on Star Wars Rebels. We just haven't heard of them, So I think she's gonna do a great job. I love seeing Mon Mothma in there. Forrest Whitaker, we don't know who his character is, but he looks like a badass, and that speech, whatever he gave at the end, is interesting. And they're playing with us a little bit, like who will you become, and then showing her in the other uniform. She's a spy in an Imperial uniform. I know that's what they're playing at,
know.
but who knows, dude? Maybe they're reverse psychology.
He could not even be talking to her. He could be talking to someone completely different.
When we see her in that uniform, though, so I think in the trailer they're trying to play it that way, But who knows, dude? Maybe they could play it where from the very beginning she was playing the Rebels. You never know. I'm just saying, but it was just interesting. We talk all the time about Marvel, how they do different genres for all their films. I think this is what the episodes are going to be the episodes. They're going to be consistent with what we've seen in the past, especially with the original trilogy. But I feel like these anthology films or Star Wars stories are going to be their own a genre of film. This is like I don't know. I don't want to say political thriller, but a war movie / thriller.
Well, it's something like Saving Private Ryan or Black Hawk Down.
In a way, it reminds me of how different Winter Soldier is from Avengers. This reminds me of that difference between the episodes and Rogue One. So, yeah, just so much greatness. I mean, Felicity Jones, I'm really excited for her, but I didn't. If I could say one negative, I don't know if I felt her as a strong character yet. But there's such a small sample that I can't tell. But other than that, it's great.
Gio?
Yeah, going with Felicity's character. I liked her introduction. It was very by the numbers, but still a good introduction. She's a good-hearted yet troubled young individual. With probably a dark past, and she's gonna have to learn how to work in a team and maybe learn a few things along the way. The locations. The beach, the palm trees, where are they in Miami? I mean, it's pretty cool.
The tropical setting, yeah. We've never seen the AT-ATs in tropical setting like that. It's pretty cool.
It makes the world also bigger, It's because you're seeing something you haven't seen yet. Donnie Yen, that guy looks awesome, just seeing him.
He's the one with the staff, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he looks incredible. I wanted to mention
with
him
the stormtroopers
too.
surrounding is pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm interested to learn more about his character. You guys talk about how the tone is grounded, everything from, the AT walkers look like, sort of like a beach invasion of, like what you would find in a war film, or even the tanks, right? Those were tanks, Imperial tanks that the stormtroopers were riding in on. We're trying to find confirmation. They look like tanks. To me, they could be something else. But just another example of how grounded this film is and how much the war will take place on the ground. We don't really see any aerial battles,
see anything in the
Nothing.
sky, or other than the Death Star.
No,
in space.
Yeah, and I like the feel of the characters. These guys are very worn down. They're very they're dirty, they're battle wounded. They look like they've been in a war or in this war for a while, and so I'm interested to see what the price of war has cost them. As far as personal, or just not just them, but for the rebels as well. And yeah, I'm just excited to see a war drama. Saving Private Ryan is in my, I think, top 5 all-time favorite films, and so for this film, I'm just excited to see that take, but for Star Wars. And you guys never hear me saying this, but it could be my favorite Star Wars film ever, just based off of that. And if they show the price of war and I don't think all of these characters are going to make it out of Star Wars.
No way.
This one, so this could also present some emotional moments depending on how much they dive into these characters. So it all depends on execution, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, so now that we've seen the first minute and a half of footage, is there anything that stands out to you that gets you more excited than you were beforehand, before watching the footage? Like, maybe you're looking forward to Felicity Jones, but someone else stole the trailer to you, so now you're looking forward to that character, or is there something else that you didn't realize you were so excited about, but now after watching the footage kind of sticks out to you a little bit more?
For me, look, Forrest Whitaker's a great actor, and we heard rumors of what his character was going to be like, but I didn't think he was going to have the impact that he had for me in this trailer. Like, I don't know what to compare him to, but he really, once he starts talking throughout the middle of it, he really set the tone for the second half of that trailer, and like it gave me goosebumps, like leading to the end of that trailer, and like, what will you become? And it's crazy because the thing in this whole Star Wars universe, it's always, no matter what the movie is, it's always a battle between good and evil, the dark side, the light, the Empire, the rebels. It's always, and each individual is going to go down certain paths, and it's kind of posing that question at the end, like, what will you become? So I guess I'm looking forward to, there's a mystery to this movie. Like, we don't necessarily know everything about, I was trying to memorize her name, but she says her name in the beginning. Jyn Erso or something like that. We don't know everything about her. We don't know what she's up to. They're playing with our minds, and you might think what they're doing, but like, don't just assume that you do, because they're playing with our minds. So that's what I'm looking forward to, is figuring out by the end of this movie who's really playing what.
For me, it's Donnie Yen. We've seen in the prequels, Jedis, do some incredible things with lightsabers. Darth Maul, for example. Like, no one will forever get that fight he did with Ewan McGregor in that end battle in Episode 1. But in this in this trailer, we see him face to face with the stormtrooper, and I think he's surrounded by like 5 or 6 other ones, right? How? And then like remember, he's blind. Yeah, he's blind, and then he just starts going off on this guy. Like, the stormtrooper doesn't even know what to do. Look at him; he's just standing there, like his blaster is facing one direction. He's just standing there.
Remember, this is the era when the stormtroopers were not trained very well.
Yeah, I guess. On one hand, it's Donnie Yen, So what do you do? Like, maybe the Star Wars universe has their own version of Donnie Yen, clearly. But he's, for me, the most exciting one, because we're gonna see a different warrior. Not one that maybe he's not force sensitive. Maybe he is. I don't think he would be, but. How do you fight?
I think he's just a badass, a samurai.
How do you fight
warrior?
That good when you're blind? But then again, it's Donnie Yen. But for me, he's the most exciting because he just brings a different element to the combat.
I was gonna go with Forrest Whitaker, but you sold me, Jacob. Like, the mystery of the movie.
Yeah,
it's very exciting because we obviously know that they're going after the Death Star plans, and it's gonna lead into Episode 4. It's how the rebels got the plans, but. We don't know anything about the movie, really.
Well, it's funny. I have more questions now.
And that's always a good thing.
That is a good thing.
Always a good thing. All right, well, that's going to wrap up our Rogue One talk. So let's move on to the next piece of news, some Obi-Wan stuff. And I know this is going to excite Jacob a little bit. But Ewan McGregor, who famously played Obi-Wan Kenobi in the prequels, he was talking with Collider and Steve Weintraub about his upcoming biopic, Miles Ahead. And, of course, anytime you get that guy down for an interview, you ask him about Star Wars. And within the interview, he talked about it the first time watching Force Awakens and the possibility of an Obi-Wan spinoff. And when asked if he's met with Lucasfilm or Kathleen Kennedy, he said he's not at liberty to say. And he kept mentioning not just an Obi-Wan movie, but he kept saying the word trilogy. So, after watching the video and reading the interview, thoughts, is an Obi-Wan movie now kind of a lock to happen? And, do we need this movie to happen, or do we want this movie to happen? Jacob?
Well, I want this movie to happen. Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite character in the entire Star Wars universe, period. Whether he's played by Alec Guinness or Ewan McGregor, both incarnations are great to me. So yes, of course I want to see this. I want Ewan McGregor to play him. He's aging perfectly to play the time period in between episodes 3 and 4. And watching this interview makes me think that it's more likely going to happen, because he could easily just said, shut everything down and said, no, I haven't talked to them. I haven't heard anything. I would love to do it, but I haven't talked to them at all. There he said, I don't think I'm allowed to say. And then after that he said, and then they were kind of moving on to another question, and he was like, there could be a possibility for a trilogy, trying to put it off as a joke.
Yeah, he kept saying the word trilogy. He kept hinting at a trilogy.
And so I think he gave us more than he intended to, and I think they have been heavily talking about it, and I just hope they're not afraid to do it. I hope if they decide not to do it, I hope their reason isn't because the negativity surrounding the prequels, because that would be idiotic in my opinion. So I really hope they do it. Watching this interview makes me think it will happen for sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think that, he obviously did a little voiceover for The Force Awakens. There had to be some kind of talks when that went down, whether it was with J.J. Abrams or Kathleen Kennedy or whoever. But, I think it's a lock to happen at some point. I don't see why it wouldn't happen. And it seems like, and especially with an actor who wants to come back to the role.
He definitely wants to.
In the interview, he was excited about talking about Star Wars and wanting to come back and play the character again. And, the old grizzled, leading into Alec Guinness version of Obi-Wan, there's plenty of time to play there. And, and it's a great interview. Obviously, like you said, I think that he did give a little away too much, more than he probably intended to. But, that's great for us. So, Gio, what'd you think?
I don't know what's more annoying. Lucasfilm not announcing an Obi-Wan movie, or Warner Brothers not announcing a Batman movie. Both are going to happen, right? So, I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to do a trilogy. You have an actor who's willing to do it, and apparently in our next topic, a couple directors have pitched some ideas. Have any of you talked about story yet? Possible storylines?
We'll get into that
not
next.
today.
Yeah, we'll get into
we
that
have
next.
Before.
Yeah, but I think it's absolutely going to happen. For all the reasons you guys just stated, and that he's getting at the right age right now, where some time could have passed between episode 3 and his next film. What has he been doing? What's he been up to? So it's going to happen. Yeah, it's just a matter of when they're going to announce it.
Yeah, well, sticking with the Obi-Wan talk. In a different interview, Ewan McGregor said that his director friend has pitched an Obi-Wan movie to Lucasfilm, and we don't know who his director friend is. No mention of a name.
Well, he said it's someone he's worked with before, so we could go look at his IMDb
we
page.
Could, but that's probably a lot of names.
That's a lot of work.
So I just want to get you guys' thoughts. It looks like Lucasfilm may be taking meetings with certain directors for a movie, or maybe it was just he walked in there, pitched an idea. So Gio, I'm going to start with you. What do you think about his friend pitching an idea, and does this kind of mean that, does this officially lock an Obi-Wan movie happening at some point?
Well, I was looking at his list, and considering the names, I think it's a lock. And out of those names, it really came down to 2 people for me. Danny Boyle, who did Steve Jobs, and he also did the 28
days later, 28 weeks later, yeah.
Train Spotting with him?
Yeah, he did Train Spotting too. And they're doing Train Spotting sequel.
Danny Boyle doing a Star Wars movie? Holy crap.
And then the other one was Mark Forster, who did World War Z, and another movie.
Well, there you go. Gio got the names for us.
Yeah, so for me, it's down to those two as far as who pitched the idea, but it could be anyone. As far as story goes,
Hopefully not George Lucas.
You know,
That's a director he's worked with before.
Very true.
that's actually true. I didn't think about that.
No, I'm just kidding. It's not going to be.
I mean, as far as story goes, I mean, there's some possibilities that can go. I'd imagine that Obi-Wan cannot use the Force because then he'll be spotted, right?
Well,
Tatooine. Because he's
yeah,
trying
but
to
I
hide,
think we're
right?
gonna see him use the Force if in the movie.
Well, I mean, I was going off of if he didn't use the Force, and it brought me back to Attack of the Clones, which is a movie I don't like to bring up often.
In the arena?
Yeah.
Talk about?
He doesn't really use the Force. He doesn't use a lightsaber, but we see him like using a spear and just like, you know, being very, you know, on the spot, like tactical and, you know,
Combat
oriented with that. So why not a movie where he is stripped of his Force abilities, so to speak, and his lightsaber? Well, he could probably still use his lightsaber. But, like, I mean, there's people to fight in Tatooine, you know? I mean, Tusken Raiders and the creatures. Granted, Anakin Skywalker took him down easily in that movie, but he was, one, built off of rage, and two, had a lightsaber in the Force. But Obi-Wan doesn't have these things, so it could present an interesting situation for the character. And, you know, maybe a Liam Neeson cameo. I mean, I wouldn't be...
I think you would see a Qui-Gon Jinn cameo.
How incredible would that be?
Because that's kind of like the last thing they left off
Well,
episode
exactly.
3 with.
Just
and
Force Ghost form. And
Yeah.
Liam Neeson has the greatest voice ever.
Exactly.
So, go ahead.
No, that's all.
I think the directors that you had mentioned, that I mean, that would be great. Danny Boyle would be obviously a great choice.
As soon as I read this, I was thinking, who directed Trainspotting? That's the first thing that came to my mind. And they're working together again.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I would actually like to see Jon Favreau do it, personally.
Have they worked together?
No, but I think he would be a great choice for an Obi-Wan movie. But
Any
Danny
Star Wars
anything,
movie, really.
Yeah, anybody he's worked with before would be a great choice because they know him, as long as they know Star Wars. But yeah, I think I just, again, going off the last topic, I think that Obi-Wan movie is coming at some point, and I think it's going to be the next anthology movie announced after Han Solo. You know, I was watching Jedi Council last week or a few days ago, and they had mentioned the Legend storyline where so Obi-Wan's on Tatooine, and I guess someone sends assassins to kill Luke, and he has to step in after not using the Force for a long time and kind of take on those assassins.
That'd be cool.
So that would maybe get a little young Luke cameo in there at some point. Get Joel Edgerton back to play Uncle Owen. Like,
Why not?
I mean, it's all there. I think it'd be a cool storyline, but obviously the big mystery out there is, does Maul show up for a storyline? I think that, especially with the Rebels finale last week and how that ended, it would just make complete sense to get that final battle between the two because it was left unfinished, kind of, in a way. Now, especially since he's alive. But
can we openly talk about specific things about Rebels?
I think so. I think it's been a week and a half or so.
Well, we're going to get into spoilers about the finale of season Rebels, or
Season
Rebels
2.
Season 2, as long as Gio doesn't mind because he hasn't watched it. But
I
were
already know everything.
you done, Jake?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah, go ahead.
So for me, I think you know who. I mean, we know who's involved in the creativity of everything going on at Lucasfilm. They're aware of every little detail that's going on in every movie, in Rebels, every book, every comic book, every novel. They're aware of every little tiny detail. So I think they made sure, you know, they let people know that Maul is around very close to A New Hope era now. He's still alive, and we don't know how much he could survive up to A New Hope, and maybe even, you know, and he can definitely have interactions with Obi-Wan again. So I think, hands down, you have to do Maul. Even if it's not in the first movie, which it probably should be, you have to do Maul because that's his arch nemesis, is Darth Maul. Darth Maul killed his master Padawan, basically his father figure. Darth Maul killed one of the women that he loved in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, in the TV show, yes.
And, you know, they both, I mean, I don't want to say Obi-Wan has hate for someone, but If he did, it would be Maul.
Well, and they had tons of interaction in the Clone
Yeah,
Wars,
exactly.
and it was
And
just left unsettled.
We know Maul hates Obi-Wan, and what's the last thing that Maul said? I'm never going to stop until I bring terror or something to all of my enemies. All of his enemies, the Emperor, Vader, probably Ahsoka, Kanan, and Ezra now, and Obi-Wan. I think the movie is Darth Maul is going after Obi-Wan. Or he hears that Darth Maul is going around looking for him and like just slaughtering people. And Obi-Wan's like, all right, I'm going to go find him so he stops killing people or something like that. And we talked about the possibility of Ahsoka Tano. Again, she's not dead at the end of Rebels, which we thought she was going to be, showing up in like a Rogue One or something. But I think an Obi-Wan movie would be more fitting. Because where does she go after? She knows Obi-Wan. She's very close. She was close with him at one point, and we love seeing these Jedi relationship dynamics in movies. There's no other Jedi to kind of bring around for him to interact with. So why not? And especially the interaction between Maul and Ahsoka in Rebels, I think you can bring both of them into an Obi-Wan movie.
Well, and kind of going off Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, they have that common aspect where Obi-Wan's apprentice and Ahsoka's master is Vader.
Yeah. So they have that. And I think, we heard like the Force and the Jedis aren't going to be in Rogue One that much. So that's fine, but she would fit in an Obi-Wan movie where you're going to have Jedis, you're going to have the Force, you're going to have lightsabers. She fits into an Obi-Wan film. And it's not just random. Like, it's not forcing her, like, to fit in with one character. They have a history already. So that's where I think it's going. I think it involves Darth Maul for sure, maybe Ahsoka Tano.
It's interesting because I think Season 3 is going to be a big tell because I do think we'll see a cameo from Obi-Wan in Season 3.
He's alive.
And then it kind of depends on where Maul is when that cameo goes down and where he's headed because Maul can now – he obviously can't go somewhere that is run by the Empire. He can't go somewhere where the rebels are. Tatooine's basically an inhabited place where none of them are present. So maybe he shacks up on Tatooine and he finds Obi-Wan at some point, and maybe that's where the movie comes in. So
yeah, well, we know he's after his enemies.
Yeah.
So.
All right, well, moving on. Talk a little bit of Force Awakens news. J.J. Abrams, while sitting down with Entertainment Weekly, EW had revealed a little bit of news about Kylo Ren and those mysterious Table of Ashes in The Force Awakens. The Table of Ashes is the column that he slams his helmet down in, and when he's talking to Rey in their first confrontation. And J.J. Abrams revealed that the Table of Ashes are, in fact, the ashes of all of his enemies. People are expecting those are the ashes of Vader. He's going to soak his helmet in the ashes of the Dark Lord, and Vader might be in there, but it is all of his enemies, which means he's a little bit more psychopath than we first realized. So Gio, I know that you wrote this up on the site. I know you probably have some strong feelings about this, so I'm going to let you start this one off.
This guy is fucking insane. First of all, it wouldn't make sense for it to be Darth Vader's ashes because, it's been so many years that passed on Endor, and his ashes are basically, all over the forest, right? How is he going to go about and collect all those ashes? Maybe the Force? Who knows? He's capable of a lot of things down there.
Well, they could have got trapped in his suit or something.
Oh, maybe. Ugh, God. But, there's no going back for this guy. I said it in the article. It's not enough for you to kill your enemies. You also collect their bodies, you light it on fire, and then you collect the ashes in a little pile, put it in a box.
I wonder if he does it himself or has, soldiers.
Maybe he has some kind of ritual he does.
Maybe. I don't know. I guess. But, all arguments as far as this guy being redeemed later on are gone. They're gone. This is... If they want to go dark with this guy, they're obviously trying to outdo the Darth Vader thing by making this guy nuts. So if they somehow manage to redeem him in the movies going forward, I'm just not going to buy it because you don't get any crazier than the ashes of your enemies. And it makes me wonder, what the hell were Han and Leia doing? You know, they might have made good romantic partners, but to be parents, you know, especially these two, you have an entire rebellion who looks up to you. And what if they found out that your kid not only kills people, but he collects their ashes and all that? It's just, man, that's crazy. Like, I mean, who knows about this, you know, in the Star Wars universe? I'd imagine not many people, but it's just insane.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought up the parents because Adam Driver actually came out and said that Kylo Ren turning the dark side is a factor of parent neglect. That he came out and said that in an interview we had a few weeks ago or a week ago or something.
Well, we could have assumed that because what does he say? Han Solo, he's like the father you never had.
Yeah.
You would have been disappointed.
Exactly. I mean, I don't have as strong as feelings as you, Gio, but I totally get where you're coming from. The dude's just crazy, and I love it. I think it's awesome. We got hints of it in the movie, and it just builds on the character that he is. It gives him a deeper version of him, and it's going to be interesting going forward because, you know, now that he doesn't have the helmet, is he going to dunk his head in those ashes, or like what is he going to do now? I would have liked the fact that maybe it was Vader because he's like, you know, he's channeling the dark side within his ashes and his helmet or whatever, but having it be his enemies, you know, that's crazy because he's going to keep building and building on that if he continues it. But it's just interesting. I think it's a very cool aspect of the character, something we obviously haven't seen before. So yeah, I mean that's kind of my thoughts. Jacob, what do you think?
Well, I'm curious because J.J. Abrams said that shot wasn't shot for that scene. It was shot for the scene. He was supposed to have his helmet off when he's talking to Vader's mask. And when he sets his helmet down on the ashes, it was supposed to be for that scene. But they decided to have him have his mask on in that scene and then have the reveal be with Daisy Ridley. I'm just curious because in the initial scene that he's talking about, he was planning on to be the ashes. But now that they changed it, or it's still the ashes of his enemies, J.J. Abrams never said. I mean, I read the article, but I'm assuming that it is the ashes of his enemies. Yeah, that's freaking insane. But I don't think he's completely unredeemable yet because there's still a question.
I'm with you. I agree.
I still think there's a possibility that Han Solo pulled that lightsaber, like hit the button on that lightsaber and killed himself to save his son. If that's the case, then he is redeemable. If he did kill his dad, then he's not redeemable. Because, I mean, it's hard to say because do we consider Vader, did he redeem himself really? Like, it's supposed to be that moment in the end of, you know, Return of the Jedi.
I think he
but
did.
He's done some horrible things. Like, stuff that Vader's did is probably, if you really look at it, is worse than Kylo Ren killing his dad.
Yeah, but you also got to remember the age. Like where is Kylo Ren headed though?
Yeah, probably.
Like where is he headed? And who are the ashes of those?
I don't think one is worse than the other. Like they're both horrible beings who've done horrible things. So why is Vader redeemable and Kylo Ren's not? I think murdering children is worse than killing your dad. I mean,
but did he kill those children? We never saw it go down.
He did. They said it afterwards and like showed the footage. Like I don't know, but all I'm saying is he's not unredeemable. If Vader's redeemable, then anyone's redeemable. But that's batshit crazy.
It's good stuff though.
He's a serial killer murderer.
It's good. It's great Star Wars stuff. It's something we definitely haven't seen before. Yeah. Okay, so continuing on the Adam Driver streak, in an article with Entertainment Weekly, the actor, he compared the two directors of J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson, talking about Episode 7 and Episode 8, the difference. And he also talked about how excited he is to get on Episode 8. So going from the EW, Driver revealed, their temperaments are different. I feel like there was so many moving pieces in the first one, just trying to solve it and set the vocabulary for what it was. There's a lot of that anxiety is gone because people have developed a language. I think it's more of a testament to Rian coming into something very established and making it his own. I can't wait to get on set just because he's so unassuming and intelligent and approachable. The script they come up with is really great. So for me, I love that he's talking about, he compares the two, very different. He praises the director. Obviously, an actor is not going to come out and bash their director, but to me, it's kind of telling that Lucasfilm has let Johnson do whatever he's wanted. and he wrote the script how he wanted it, and they said, go ahead and make this film. They gave him the creative freedom that he wanted, and this is the third or fourth actor has come out and said it's a very great script. Obviously, they're going to say that, but it's exciting. And from Johnson's past, he did Brick and he did Looper, two very dark films, and I think it's going to continue in Episode 8 and probably maybe even darker than Empire Strikes Back, because he can go that dark. And I just love hearing that that he said he came into something very established and made it his own. That's just Lucasfilm and Disney had trust in this guy, and they let him do what he's going to do. Kind of what J.J. Abrams did with Episode 7. Obviously, it's different because he had to set the tone and created a new universe for the future films. But it's very exciting to see that there's a certain creative freedom there, and Kathleen Kennedy and everyone behind Lucasfilm is letting him do what he wanted to do. So, Jacob, what do you take away from the comments?
I like them. I like Rian Johnson as a director. It's always positive to hear. You never know with these type of things because, every actor is going to praise the script, praise the director, praise the studio with the thing that they're currently working on. So it's hard to tell, but I've been a fan of Adam Driver. I've watched season 1 of Girls since it first started, and I've been a fan of him. I was so excited when he was cast as Kylo Ren. So as far as, I think he's a believable guy, so I believe him, and it's always exciting to hear. I just hope that Episode 8 is not too different from Episode 7 as far as tone, because it's not like Episode 7 and Rogue One where they're different movies, different timelines. They're in the same universe, but they're separate from each other. Episode 8 is a sequel to Episode 7, so it can't be too dark, too different in a way. So I just hope it's not the case.
But would you agree that Episode 4 and 5 are pretty different in tone?
Not completely, though. You still have the same, you still have the same bantering between Leia and Han, and the same humor, even in Episode 5 and 6.
I don't doubt that because we'll have Finn and Poe.
I know, but I'm saying I could totally, because you've seen Brick or Looper, I hope he doesn't change it too much, because the Force Awakens, the spirit of the Force Awakens is very lighthearted, and everyone's cracking jokes left and right, and it could be looked at as a little over the top, but I've accepted the Force Awakens as that tone. So I know it's going to be different, but I want it to feel like it's a sequel. Like you can watch them back to back and feel like it's the same, it's the same thread going through the whole thing. Rogue One and the Force Awakens are going to be totally different in tone and everything, but I don't want that to be the case with Episode 8 and 9.
Gio?
I mean, what else is Adam Driver going to say? This property turned him into a star. So, let's see, going off of your guys' stuff, because you guys pretty much said a lot of the stuff everything that needs to be said. I think bad stuff is going to happen in this movie. You don't get Rian Johnson to direct without, having some sort of vision for that, It's funny because, had Adam Driver said anything else about Rian Johnson, then I feel like a lot of the fans would, immediately defend Rian Johnson because, he's universally recognized for Looper, and how great that film was. But I don't think they're going to go too dark. You think about what you said, the creative collaboration that Lucasfilm is, starts with Kathleen Kennedy, who I think she confirmed in an interview that she overlooks every script. She doesn't read it. Probably, maybe she does read it.
She's basically the Kevin Feige of Star Wars.
Pretty much, yeah. She's the final person to give the go. So I like that collaborative effort, and a lot of what Adam Driver is saying is pretty much true. So it's another reason to be excited and to have full faith. And this Episode 8, this very pivotal episode in the new trilogy. So looking forward to it.
All right, moving on to our last movie news topic of the day. With the Star Wars Force Awakens Blu-ray coming out this past Tuesday, featurettes and special features are starting to come out, and one of the more popular ones of the last week or so has been an original audition tape for Daisy Ridley, for The Force Awakens. We don't know if it's the first one or the second one, but it looks like it could be at some point later on in the process. It's the scene between her and Kylo Ren when they're both tapping into the Force. And with the clip, J.J. Abrams gave a little quote, a little comments on it, and he had said, "She just blew my mind. She's reaching this depth of struggle, and tears are streaming down her face. I thought this is unbelievable." J.J. Abrams said he had her stop, gave her a few notes before running through the scene again, and he continued saying, "She just did it again," and I thought, "Oh my God." So obviously after seeing the movie, we know that she was the standout. She blew everyone away, especially for being her first feature film. Pretty good accomplishment, and we're very excited for her going forward. She's obviously getting, scripts left and right. She could be the next Tomb Raider. But watching the audition tape and listening to comments from J.J. Abrams, just thoughts on it, Jacob.
It's not surprising. They casted her. She was great in the film. The only thing that I'm curious about is because I remember hearing when the movie came out that even J.J. Abrams and even Daisy really talked open about it, that her first couple of days on set when they were filming, that she was very wooden and and stuff like that. But it's understandable. It's her first big film.
Yeah, nerves.
It's Star Wars. You might be around Harrison Ford and all that. So I understand that. But it's curious that she was so great. Or I'm curious because she was so great in her audition tape, and then she was so great in the film. It's just weird to hear that she was nervous because she killed it. But yeah, it's good to hear. Not surprising at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just it's really cool to see these audition tapes too, and see what kind of scenes they went through and whatnot. But the girl just gives it her all, and she did have nerves on the first day of set or whatever it was, and but she obviously killed it, and it's really cool. I love that J.J. Abrams comes out and just backs her up the entire way. So, Gio?
I think it's awesome, and just forget for a second that how great she was in The Force Awakens. Like, put yourself in that room during that time. It's pre-production. Force Awakens is going to be a big risk. You don't know how fans are going to take it, but you have faith. And then you see Daisy Ridley give this performance, and you think, "Holy shit! Like, we're about to do something that hasn't really been done in Star Wars in a long time," and that's have an already great performance and have a director who can tweak that and somehow make it even more better. Like, for me, that's pretty awesome. And just these featurettes, I think it's pretty awesome to see. I love this kind of stuff. It just adds to the home viewing experience for a movie that we've seen many more times. It just adds more. Now we want to go back and watch it again. So yeah, so I think it's awesome.
How many times are you guys gonna watch it once you get the Blu-ray? Just over and over and over again.
As soon as I get it, I'm gonna have it in my room in my player just every night and put it on every night before I go to sleep for the next 2 years. No,
until episode 8.
Until Rogue One comes out. No, but I thought you were saying like how many times are you gonna watch it over your life? I'm like 233,000 times. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up our movie news. So moving on to the one piece of non-movie news. Got a little new novel after the Rebels Season 2 finale last week, I think it was, 2 weeks ago. A new Star Wars young adult novel was announced, and it's going to feature Ahsoka Tano, one of the more popular characters in the animated shows. And it's going to story her adventures after leaving the Jedi Order in the Clone Wars, all the way up until we see her in Rebels, the last episode of Season 1. And a little quick synopsis from the report. It says, fans have long wondered what happened to Ahsoka after she left the Jedi Order near the end of the Clone Wars and before she reappeared as the mysterious rebel operative Fulcrum in Rebels. Finally, her story will begin to be told. Following her experiences with the Jedi and the devastation of Order 66, Ahsoka is unsure she can be part of the larger whole ever again. But her desire to fight the evil of the Empire and protect those who need it will lead her right to Bail Organa and the Rebel Alliance. And Dave Filoni, who kind of runs Star Wars Rebels, continued by saying Ahsoka has a long history and there is much more to it than the fans know. So obviously this is very exciting to me. She's one of my favorite Star Wars characters. It's kind of almost an Obi-Wan situation. It's like there's such a big gap there to tell, and there's so many stories. And what's interesting is that final line where it says it will lead her right to Bail Organa and the Rebel Alliance. And Jacob has continuously talked about it, the possibility of her showing up in Rogue One.
Or just
Or
one
a-
of these
a live action
anthology
in general,
films. Just
and-
live action in general.
And it seems like that's higher possibility with this novel pointing straight to the Rebel Alliance. So, Gio, let's start with you, man. After hearing the synopsis, and I know you don't watch, or you haven't been able to watch Rebels lately, but are you interested in a Ahsoka Tano novel?
Yeah, I'm definitely interested. I'm not like, dying for it, it's about on the same level as, like a Kit Fisto backstory, I just love that guy, so that's just me. She's a great character, who walks away from the Jedi Order during its heyday, right before it's about to go down the shit. That's some serious foresight on her part, But yeah, it's similar to Obi-Wan, what has she been doing? Where has she been? It can only expand the universe even more further. And I'm sure you guys will get into more conversation because there's probably been hints at that in Rebels.
Not with her going to the Rebel Alliance. No.
Well,
we knew
yeah.
she was some kind of mystery.
We don't know what she was doing in between those two time
there's
periods.
been no. She just kind of showed up at the end.
Okay,
Because the end, when she leaves Clone Wars and when she shows up in Rebels, I don't know how many years, but it's a lot. It's a long period of time.
There's quite a gap. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
let's see. Kanan had to
Oh,
be
yeah.
his Padawan, and now he's grown full adult. So there's 15 years.
Yeah,
you say?
10 or 15 years,
Yeah,
somewhere
so-
around there.
Oh wow! So
yeah.
there's room to play.
It's an
Definitely.
exact Obi-Wan situation.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. No, I've grown to really like her character. I'm very curious. We've already talked about it on this podcast, but she's not dead after Rebel season 2, so they can. When it's all said and done, she's probably going to be one of the most iconic Star Wars characters, especially if they bring her into live action, which I hope they do. If I had to put money on it, I don't think she's going to be in Rogue One, but I think she will show up in an anthology film somewhere along the lines. But yeah, this is so. I've been interested in these Star Wars novels, and I really want to read Lords of the Sith. I really want to read Lost Stars. Bloodlines is the first one where I'm like, I have to get it, and now Ahsoka is the second one where I have to get it. The only thing that I don't like is young adult. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to see a freaking love triangle in this book, but I guarantee you there's going to be one. So, other than that,
I'll disagree
I'm
with
super
that, but I'll leave
excited.
it at that.
I guarantee you, because even in Clone Wars, she had crushes on guys and stuff like that. And
Well, she was a young girl.
I know,
obviously.
but young adult novel. Come on, there's going to be a love triangle.
Just real quick before we move on to our last part of the show, with it saying it leads her straight to Bail Organa and the Rebel Alliance, does that kind of lock in the fact that she's gone by the time Episode 4 comes around, and she's out of the picture?
Dead?
Yeah.
I don't know, because we all thought she was going to die at the end of season 2 of Rebels. So
Or maybe
I
she
really
was
don't
on.
know.
What if she was on Alderaan when it blew up?
Maybe.
Gio?
Yeah, she needs to die.
Oh God.
Who in Star Wars hasn't had like some kind of not horrific death, but a death, Darth Vader, I guess you could say, he died in his son's hands, but Mace Windu gets out of a window. Qui-Gon gets stabbed.
brutal deaths.
Obi-Wan gets swung at and he disappears, and
Maul gets cut in
Maul gets cut in
half.
half.
Anakin gets chopped limbs.
She needs to continue the tradition. So keep it
So
going.
just cut her head off.
Not her head, but
Interesting.
give her a heroic death.
You got to watch Rebels. Once you watch the season 2, or the back half of season 2, I'm
Or
interested to
just
see your
watch
take
the
on
season
her.
finale.
I'm interested to see your take on her after seeing her on Rebels.
Okay, I will.
Because you haven't really got a full.
Because she's grown adult.
You haven't got a full exposure to her like we have yet.
Okay, I will watch it as soon as not as soon. I'll try and knock it out before next Padawan. So.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, so moving on to our last part of the show. This is where we do address the Academy. It is finally Gio's term after weeks and weeks. So Gio, I'm gonna hand it straight to you, man. What do you got? Give us your address.
This one's tough because I can't talk about what I want to talk about more because we've already talked about it last time.
We're not talking about Rey and Finn, man.
Oh
That's
my
right, yeah.
goodness.
So I had to come up with a new category. So I'm gonna try and do this without coffee. Next category, triangles. Triangles, guys. Let's talk about triangles in Star Wars.
What?
And I'm not talking about just any kind of triangle.
Why are you're on this love thing?
I'm talking about a love triangle. There you go. Jacob talked about it 5 minutes ago. What is a love triangle? Well, I went to UrbanDictionary.com.
And you freaking-
According to love triangles, when two people both love a third person and that third often loves them both, the object of their love may be confused as to whom he or she wants, and generally nobody emerges from these very happy love triangles. It's widely agreed that these things suck. So, has there ever been a love triangle in Star Wars?
There was in A New Hope.
No.
Yes, there was.
No. Some of you might
Luke, Han, and Leia. That was kind of a love triangle.
In a way, yeah, but
It was
once we find out they're brother and sister, that's totally. But we don't find out till Return.
About Luke, Han, and Leia, but that brief incest only lasted to like first base and not anything beyond that. But the love triangle I'm talking about is, what if they do Rey, Finn, and Poe in Episode 8 or 9? Like, we've never had a love triangle before in Star Wars. It's gonna happen either in Ahsoka or in Episode 8.
He found a way to bring a new Address the Council, but still talk about Rey and Finn.
Yes.
No,
And
I'm
you
talking about
used,
Rey, Finn, and Poe.
you quoted Lex Luthor when going into the topic. Next category, triangles.
'Cause I love
Don't think I didn't catch
I really
that.
like that movie. Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think Jake caught that.
I blocked it out.
Oh boy. Can it exist?
No.
Should it exist?
I'll say it. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
I'm not finished with my pitch, but some people are intrigued by the deleted scene that's non-canon between Rey and Poe.
There is no deleted scene with Rey and Poe.
Well, wasn't there like a well, not anymore.
No.
But
It's in the Force Awakens novel.
Yes.
Rey goes up to Poe and she's like, "Hi, I'm Rey," and there's like, and he's like, "I know," and supposedly within that there's like, I don't know how they show it or tell this, but there's some type of, chemistry between them.
there's a spark.
And this is in the Force Awakens novel, which is canon.
Yes.
So it's canon.
Yes.
So some people will like that. Many more people like the Rey and Finn thing. So
I don't think anyone thinks Rey and Finn are a thing.
okay, I'll pull it up.
Dude,
on
he
the
was
internet.
fin zoned.
What
Fin-zoned.
if?
Oh, she even says, the last thing she says to him, she says, "I'll see you again, my friend." The last thing she says to him, "I'll see you again, my friend." We noticed it the last time we watched Star Wars.
Yeah.
All right, finishing on my pitch.
Sorry to interrupt you, Gio.
So in Episode 8, what if Rey meets Poe and there's a spark, right? But then an hour later in the movie, she's reunited with Finn and there's like mixed emotions. So love triangles are everywhere nowadays. In X-Men, Fassbender and McAvoy love Jennifer Lawrence. Didn't ruin the story. In Hunger Games, Liam Neeson and Peter also love Jennifer Lawrence. Didn't ruin the story.
Liam Neeson?
Liam Hemsworth. Liam Neeson. That's
And I would
right,
say
yeah.
James McAvoy in
And
First Class.
we're
that
not
was
romantic.
Yeah.
It's just
that was
like
a father
Rey and
figure
Finn.
almost.
Okay, no, I said X-Men. Days of Future Past. Yeah.
There's
A
no
love?
no, not
No.
between Professor X and Mystique.
Well,
No way.
not a straight up love triangle, but I'm talking about like McAvoy's like, you took her from me and this and that,
because it's his sister.
Yeah,
baby
they like
sister.
they grew up
I
together.
got a different vibe from
They
him.
like grew up together.
I think he actually, might be attracted.
Dude,
but
Gio,
maybe that's just
you
me.
were like
He sees
So
things that we
anyway,
don't see.
Daredevil.
Apparently,
Daredevil,
men and women cannot be friends.
Murdoch loves the Page Girl and Elektra, but that didn't ruin the story. So, give me your
is that
thoughts.
really a triangle though?
Sort of. I mean, Murdoch's struggling. He's
You
like,
just got two ladies.
he's like, I'll run away with you, but I need to show you I'm.
I
good
think-
on it. It's like
Karen and Foggy and Matt in season 1 would be more of a love triangle.
Yeah, I agree.
But that technically, there's
Well,
3 people
okay,
involved.
okay,
There's 3
so
people involved.
it's up for discussion. So, your thoughts on a possible love triangle for the first time in Star Wars? If not, then when? And
Never.
Would somebody have to
Well,
die for the other two to flourish?
You heard what I just said about the Ahsoka Tano novel. It's the one thing I don't want is a love triangle, but I guarantee you it's going to be in there. And first of all, there's no romance going on between Finn and Rey. So that would eliminate the possibility of a love triangle. So there you go.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Dude, I hate to shoot you down, but it's not happening.
Hey, watch it
I
does.
just-
We're going to lose our minds, dude.
No, I don't think it's gonna happen. I think Rey is on a certain path. Like, she has feelings for for Finn, but they're like the best of friends now.
Mm-hmm.
They, for each other, Rey was alone on Jakku. Finn was alone in the Empire. Now they come together. It's like they're the first real friends to each other. And Poe, we don't know what his relationship's going to be like with Rey in the movies. We don't know what's going to be like with Finn in the movies. But, and yeah, obviously they're going to love each other when they come back together because they haven't seen each other in a long time, however long it is. But a love triangle or any kind of relationship? No, I don't think.
I could see Poe and Rey having something, but just Poe and Rey, because I could see him like making some slick remark like "Thank you, beautiful" or something like that, and then she's like startled by it. I could totally see a similar Han Leia relationship in a way, but not a love triangle or anything between Rey and Finn. They're friends, and she even says, "I'll see you again, my friend."
Okay, a yes or no question.
No, I'm just kidding.
Was The Force Awakens a result of Lucasfilm also listening to their fans?
As far as what?
Star Wars Force Awakens. Would you say a lot of it had to do with people listening to the fans?
Just the whole movie? Yeah. I mean, I guess, but I think they would have made it anyway.
As far like the same way?
Yeah. I mean, I can't think of what they put in there that they wouldn't have just for the fans,
Well, I mean, more action. I don't know. It just felt like a movie that's more for the fans.
Well, it's definitely it's a nostalgia trip.
And I think that's a testament to J.J. Abrams because he knows he's one of us.
Exactly. So what are you saying? Fans are clamoring for Finn and Rey?
Would they address it? Would they put closure to it in episode 8
I think
and 9?
If Lucasfilm is paying attention to that at all, then yes. I think they already addressed it in The Force Awakens. She said, "I'll see you again, my friend," kisses him on the forehead. That's as Finn-zoned as you could possibly be.
We've already talked about that, but we're talking about love triangles here.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up the Padawan podcast today. I would definitely like to thank Gio Ramos for that great address the Academy. Where can they find you online, man?
On Twitter at GioRamos24 and ApocaflixMovies.com.
Jacob?
You can find me on Twitter at JacobBarley_ on this Apocaflix Movies YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, comment, please.
And you can find me, your host, Jake Berlin, on Twitter, Instagram at Qui-Gon Jake. Check out everything we're doing here at Apocaflix Movies YouTube channel, movie news, Rumor Central, movie reviews. And until next time, may the Force be with you.